second. I picked up 2 pieces of satin, that's a word. Yes, satin. And I went crazy on the machine, and now I'm here in a marshmallow. Yes. So, first thing that you really need to know about sewing, don't be afraid. I meet so many people that tell me they're too afraid to touch a machine. They're too afraid to get into sewing because it involves needles. They're pointy. Pointy means blood. But when you put blood, sweat and tears into a costume or into a design or into anything, it really turns out fantastic. It really is. That's what I say. I talk about the red spots that really likes cheese. The machine won't bite unless you have a really bad control. Yes, so first thing I'm going to talk about is equipment. These are honestly the most basic things that you need when you start sewing, if you want to get started. Just these are the most basic things that I can think that you need. I'll go over them really quickly. Up in the corner we've got tailor's chalk. That's just for drawing out your pattern or adding like little marks where you want to cut. That's basically a good way to keep a guideline, or if you have to alter a pattern or anything a little bit later on. That sounds scary, but second, of course, is a ruler or a tape measure. It's good to have both because you've got the static ruler, so you aren't. So if you have any straight lines or say any nails, where men are much more straight sewing, so that men's outfits are much more straight stitched out. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah. Us women, we are not exactly straight. This is actually Nikki, by the way. She is not a newbie to sewing. She has actually just graduated toy in costume construction. Yes, she's just completed the costume course at Toy, so yes, she is my little yeah, she's my little elf. She's my little elf to be like, hey, you're doing that wrong. Because I'm completely self-taught, she's trained. So she's important. This is what you get with employment. But yeah, moving on, we've got the ruler and the tape measure. It's good to have both. Of course, the tape measure is going to be good for taking your own measurements or trying to figure out how long the garment is. So if you've got it hanging down the wall line, it's good to have that flexibility. Next, of course, we've got the scissors. I always call them stabby scissors. We can do the pointy section. But yeah, scissors, of course, you need a good pair of fabric scissors. Mark which are your fabric scissors. I keep a little bit of ribbon on them, sometimes off the masking tape or something, to be like, these are my fabric scissors. If you cut paper with this, I will cut your hair and your eyes. Yeah, don't use fabric scissors on like paper or anything. It dulls them and then it doesn't cut as good. And you end up with products like these ones down here, which you will get to choose. Next, of course, is your pins and your needles. You want to use the pins with balls on the top so you can hold fabrics together, of course. Go for the cheap ones at the start, but don't go for the really cheap ones. I made that mistake. Bad idea. And of course, you've got hand sewing needles, which I'll cover in a second. They're great for detail. Of course, you need your thread. Always get more thread than you think you need, just because I've always found that when I'm working with some projects, I run out of thread a lot faster than I think I'm going to, and bobbins take out a lot of thread. Yes. The next most obvious one is fabric. You kind of need fabric to make things with the fabric, unless by any chance you're sewing with cardboard, which then I'd have to ask how you do that. Please teach me. You probably need like really thick like leather needles. That's a whole nother panel. And then of course the ever wonderful sewing machine. This one's optional when you're getting started, but you can get very basic sewing machines like this lovely one from the 1950s. But yeah, your sewing machine is honestly going to be your best tool for sewing. I'm biased towards sewing machines, honestly, because I've been using one for 7 years, and then before that, different things. Dad, so many pairs of hands. So many. But yeah, your sewing machine is going to be the one thing I will always recommend to use. Hand stitching is great to get started, but yeah, I'll cover that in a minute. Yep. these are the things that, if you buy one of those basic packs from like Spotlight that come with some needles and some threads to do some real basic touch-ups on the go, it may come with these, some things that may scare you, and you may not know what they are, so I just want to cover them really, really quickly because they can really help you. So this one at the top here is a C measuring gauge. So it's a ruler with inches marked on it, and that little slider, that little red bit, it slides up and down so that you can mark where you want it to sit. This is fantastic if you are later on working on patterns where you need to figure out how much do you need to add to something. You can mark it with the seam gauge, where you can sit the slider wherever you want it to go, and use that to measure. It's a ruler with a sliding thingy. It's great. It's intentioned for a seam measuring gauge. That's what it's called. Or in my case, the power ruler. This next one here, this little bit here, is a needle threader. I know too many people that just chuck this away and then complain about not being able to thread needles. So that little titty bit at the bottom there, that goes through the hole. I'm sorry. That goes through the hole in the needle, and you can shove your thread through that, pull it back through, and your needle is thread. I'm still trying to teach my nana how to do that, which is a little bit blind, but it should be really, really helpful. You can use this on both machines and hand sewing needles, but typically you want to use it for hand sewing needles. And of course, the seam ripper. If you make a mistake, it's going to be your best friend. That little corner bit in there is the very sharp blade. Please don't stab yourself with it, or this bit. This little ball, before anyone asks, is for saving your fabric, as I found out the hard way. Yeah. You turn it upside down, and it's the one thing that saves the fabric. It's making seven of it. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I took it off one of my first seam rippers and destroyed an entire garment that way. Don't do that. Don't do that. That was my mistake. Yeah. Fabric. So I'm going to talk about some of the most basic fabrics to start with. I wish that I had known this is what I should have started with when I was working with it. So the first one that I will recommend is poplin or drill. They are very similar. Like if you're just getting started out, these fabrics are very easy to use. It's cotton based, well, mostly cotton, but it's very easy to use. It's very cheap to come by. It comes in a massive rainbow of colours, of all different kinds of colours, and because it's basically a natural product, it can dye very well if you need to, if you feel like it's not quite the colour you're looking for. So it dyes very, very well. Both of these garments here were made solely with poplin or drill, which surprised many people because they thought it was polyester. I'll touch on that later. But I do have some samples here of what poplin feels like, and if you would like to have a feel, I'll just hand a few out. Feel free to take this home. I don't need them. I'm sorry, I have too much fabric at home. Anyone else would like to? Yes, so like I said, poplin's nice and easy to come by, super cheap. It doesn't move around when you're sewing. Or at least I find it doesn't move around when you're sewing because it doesn't have much slip to it. Like it's not plastic. Yeah, that's the way to look for. Yeah. So moving on. If you're looking to get into something a little more form-fitting, because poplin doesn't stretch because it's cotton-based. If you're looking to get into stretch or knit fabrics, which is like this one here, looking like a marshmallow. You can look into working with stretch fabrics. Stretch is great for, like I just said, getting more form-fitting outfits. I find it's best for like leggy products, as you can see with my book covers there. But it is quite difficult to sew in because you have to sew it as if it's being stretched. Does that make sense? So you have to stretch the fabric out and sew it down so that the thread will be stretched out for when you're wearing it. And it may do a thing where it shows where the seams are, but that's just, you'd rather that than something that doesn't fit and you're uncomfortable. Alright? Yeah. and it does typically come in very long rolls. These kind of way too much of a stretch. It typically comes in 1.5 meter rolls. If you guys like to have a stretch and a play, it's fun, all of that. Up to you. Sorry, pass around. Yeah. But yeah, it's something that you want to play with if you want something a bit more form-fitting. It does come in a cotton like shirt, t-shirty kind of fabric as well. At times, depends on where you get it from. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's important. Sorry. So the fabric that you guys are playing with is a 4-way stretch, so you can stretch it any way you want, as you're playing with. That is called lycra. There are some 2-way stretches, so it will only stretch one way, but not the other way. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. The jersey is 2-way, so where it will stretch this way. That's it. Perfect. It's different. Can you tell me that? But yeah, this fabric will stretch that way, but it won't stretch upwards. Does that make sense? Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. But with the only thing about stretch is you will need to get specific needles. So the way that the stretch fabric works is that if you use like really sharp pointy needles, it will stab right through and it will shred the thread fibers. Fibers? I mean to be a professional. Oh my. But yeah, if you use like a universal or a super stabby stab needle, it's going to rip the fibers and it will not sit very well. Yeah, you need more of a exactly. You need more like a ball point one, so it'll just slide through, just like me through the crowd. It's just like slide through here and just give you some thread and a slide back instead of like move. You see what I mean? Yeah. Okay, moving on. Next one is the devil. Saturn. Same thing. Sell my soul before I use it ever again. Honestly, I don't like satin because it is fantastic for a lining fabric, but I've seen so many people be like, hey, this would be the perfect thing for this outer garment. It's great for structure. No. Satin typically comes very thin. It's very thin. It's typically used for linings of jackets and things like that. Some people use it for linings of capes, but yeah, it's very thin. I'd keep it for a lining. Who wants to play with the devil? Anyone want to sell this soul to the devil? Hey, Mr. Joker here. Yeah. This one. All these fabrics came from Pete's Emporium. Not sponsored, sadly. But yeah, the only kind of satin that I would ever consider using is bridal satin. But moving on. I'm an idiot. Bridal satin is much thicker. It is made for wedding dresses. My regrets. Sorry. But yeah, no. It is made for wedding dresses. It is meant for fashion, like the fashion industry, where they want something that's much more structured. If you're going for more of a regal kind of outfit, and you want something with massive drapage, I would recommend bridal satin. But this is why I'm an idiot. This stuff costs $26 a meter, and it's not even a meter wide. Don't go for it if you don't have the budget, honestly. But yeah, it sews really well. It looks fantastic. It drapes really well. But yeah, the budget, it's not for the newbie, for the smaller budget. Does that make sense? Fantastic. Awesome. Okay. But yeah, if later on you want to give it a go, I'd highly recommend it. It is a fantastic material to sew with. That's my only plug for Lillybug's favourites. Moving on. Okay, moving on to hand sewing or machine sewing. Again, not sponsored, my brother. Sadly. I'm going to talk about the two different techniques you can use, starting with hand sewing. Hand sewing is fantastic for detailing, like little bits of embroidery, doing buttons, sometimes zips, if they're that difficult. They can be difficult, I'll talk about that soon. It is fantastic if you want total control of where your threads are going, of how you want a seam to move, things like that. It is fantastic if you love total control. The only thing about it is that you might stab yourself, seeing as people use it example, so they don't stab themselves. It does take quite a bit of time to do because you are stitching one at a time, unless you're lazy like me and stab through like 8 layers of fabric at the same time. Don't do that. And it may not be as strong. And, because it's only the one layer of thread going through the fabrics, I will show you in a second why machine sewing and hand stitching are two different kinds of strengths. Moving on to machine sewing, I'm biased towards a machine because this here is the machine that I use. She is a Brother Innovus CS8080. She has done me so well for the last 5 years. And don't invest in a machine like this unless you are looking to go further and further, build yourself up. Start with something a bit cheaper at Spotlight. There are nice and easy starter machines at Spotlight for like $200, sometimes less than that even. Yeah. And of course, Spotlight's always on sale. Thank you, Spotlight. I just wish you moved closer. Please come back to Pokemon. But yes, it has a much stronger stitch because it's using the two different kinds of threads. It's using your top stitch and your bobbin. So of course the top stitch would be there if New Zealand threads fit. Mine doesn't, so it goes on top. The bobbin of course is underneath, and it is much faster because the machine is like, oh sweet, I'm ready to go, buzz! Yeah. So it's nice and fast. You can control the speed if you're not very happy with it. It sews much more evenly. You'll get a uniform stitch, of course. It'll measure how far your stitch length is, but of course you can adjust that on your machine. And you sew a lot straighter. I said that. It's much stronger. Figure first, she's sick of me. But the thing about machines is they can be very pricey. They do at times require yearly servicing. I personally take mine in every 6 months because she's a bit more of an expensive machine, and I'm paranoid. Anxiety. But yeah, I typically take her in once a year just to make sure that, just as like just to get the dust out or give it a bit of a check up, find if any bits and bobs in the machine are like needing an update. They can be a bit pricey, but the one in Kilburnie, the sewing shop, there's a shop in Kilburnie that does a lot of servicing, and they're only at max about $120 for the servicing, and that $120 is for a long way. And of course, machines can be like cats. They change their mind in a heartbeat. They can decide, you know what, I'm going to give you 5 minutes of really good sewing, but the moment that you turn that corner, you've got those hands. Or is that just my machine? Yeah. But yeah, machines can be a bit temperamental when it comes to things like tension, and that can really scare some new sewers. I want to say cosplayers, sorry. But yeah, it can play with the tension, it can be a bit scary, and then you go, I hope it will help me. Yeah. But it's really up to you. But this here is a diagram as to what happens when you're sewing. So as you can see here, don't blink here. You can see the top thread is what comes through the needle, of course. It will go down and it will catch to the bobbin's mechanism. The bobbin's second thread will catch onto this plate. It will catch onto the top needle thread, loop it all the way around and weave together in a nice tight bond. You see what I mean? Does this help? Sweet. Yeah. I wish I'd found this yesterday as well. I was very confused as to why sometimes my machine would bring up dust. It was time for service. Oh yeah, don't use fur on domestic machines. No, don't do it. Bad. Yeah. So I hope that gives you a visualization as to what goes on in a machine, why it is stronger than hand sewing, because the hand sewing is just one single thread compared to the machine stitch. Moving on to the next piece of sewing advice you may want to know about: patterns. So these are some things about patterns that you need to know. So your pattern size is completely different. What you go to the shops and pick up on the rack, like I am a size 14, not mine, I'm a size 14 marshmallow. The pattern size that I use is a size 18. It's not good for confidence, but once you take your measurements and figure out exactly where you sit in that pattern, so your bust, your waist, and your hips, and maybe even a few pounds more if you're paranoid like me, you'll be able to follow a guide that should be on the pattern or on the website, maybe. Internet's not too far. You'll be able to find which pattern you want to use, which size of pattern, that you want to use. Saying that, patterns won't fit perfectly right away. They're made for a universal size. I'm just going to sit down and swear. They are meant for a universal size. It's like mass production. How you can go to one shop, buy a t-shirt, go to another shop, buy another t-shirt, and they'll fit two completely different ways. So that's what you'll need to do is you will need to alter that pattern a little bit if you want it to fit and flash you a lot better. But if you're looking just to start playing with patterns, don't worry about that, and don't worry about it not properly fitting right away. You will need to learn how to do adjustments at some point. Yes, don't add extra seam allowance. Patterns typically always come with seam allowance in them, so that's where in the pattern fabric, in the fabric of the pattern, that is where you are going to want to sew down, so that you have a little bit of, if you look on the inside of any garment, you might see a little flattened fabric anywhere. That's where your seam is. It's just a bit of, how do you describe seams? Like, that's the one. If you don't have the seam, if you don't have the seam allowance, it's not going to hold together. The bigger the seams, the better. Don't go crazy. The instructions are not in another language. There are a lot of them. But if you take the time to just sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to read this. It's not like reading Stephen King. It's more like reading Jack Nicholson once you sit down to it and actually go through it. But yeah, it does take a long time. The fabric needed for the pattern may be a lie. There is one bunny suit pattern, not that one up there, that says that you need 10 meters of fabric for it. Yeah, it says it needs 10, yeah, exactly. It says it needs 10 meters of fabric for the bunny suit, but what it should have said is 10 meters in total. So that's including the top layer, the internal layer, and then the lining layer, and all the other fabric that it said it needs. Yes, yeah. It should say that it needs 10 meters in total, but it just says you need this much fabric. Please specify. Please. Patterns can be used again. When you buy a pattern, it comes in very thin paper. It's almost like rice paper. Yeah, it's tissue paper. Yeah, really thin tissue paper, so it can be very fragile. It is recommended when you are working with patterns to trace it out onto a thicker fabric or a thicker paper, anything along those lines, so that you can make a stronger pattern that you can tailor to yourself and your own size. But yeah, it is recommended to trace that pattern onto a bigger paper, stronger paper or fabric. I copy mine onto poplin so that I can just put them in a shelf drawer and you can cut them and color code. But that's just what I do. I end up doing mock-ups and things like that through that. To define what a mock-up is, that's when you use the pattern, when you basically make the pattern out of fabric that is not going to be the final garment. It's a practice round. Yeah, practice round. Yeah. Moving on. Okay. I'm running away from it. You can make your own pattern though. You can, however, Flash. Hi, Jack Ross. No. You can make your pattern. You are only going to need duct tape, glad wrap, and a marker, and scissors. Not your fabric scissors. I will hunt you down if you use your fabric scissors to cut glad wrap. No, I'm not going to hunt you down if you're eating. It's okay. Go for it. Go, feel free. Much. But yeah, the other thing I recommend that I was stupid enough not to put up here was a friend. Get a friend to help you with this. Honestly, the example I have here is a lovely lady by the name of Trish Liddell. She and I were making a bust for a Marjorie Tyrell cosplay. So what we did was we took the glad wrap, we wrapped it all the way around her chest, and then used duct tape, not masking tape. We got this masking tape from Vita 10, but get much thicker tape, and just wrap it all around where you want to make a pattern. We took a marker and then we drew on exactly where we wanted the pattern to sit, and where we wanted things to be the centre, where the seam should be, so on the shoulders, but we also drew the design of the outfit. I apologise, Chish, it's just a little too sexy for this panel. We went outside and this is what it looked like when we had all the patterns cut out. The shirt itself crosses over, so that's why you see the little details on the front of where she wants the fold over, the crossing over fabric. That's what she's drawn on there. You can also see down the sides here, these bit here, those are called princess seams. They work best for bustier people, like myself, unfortunately. But yeah, princess seams are great for curvier people that are looking for something that's a little more fitting, or in this case, royal. Then we cut out all the pattern pieces, laid them on the floor, and this is what they ended up looking like. This is where your seam gauge would come in handy. Because we've made this pattern, this is made exactly to fit. This doesn't include seam allowance. So what you want to do is you'll trace this to stronger fabric again, or paper, my apologies, and then take that seam gauge and just add in an extra length around it. I hope I'm okay to touch this, because I'm going to touch it. That's why I wear glasses. You're going to want to add an extra 8, I was trying to say inch, not 8 inches, just single inch. You're going to want to add an inch around the pattern pieces, so that gives you a bit of leeway when you're sewing, so it doesn't come out a lot smaller. Again, I wish I knew that when I started. Yeah, but closures. Closures are moving on. Yeah. Sorry, no, I've just realised that I forgot to show the photos of the continued piece. Okay. No, once you've done tracing the original pattern into stronger paper, copy it to fabric, sew it up, and it looks gorgeous. If you were here on Friday and saw the Marjorie Tyrell with her mum, that was her. That was the finished project. I didn't have photos by the time I was trying to get this done. Neither did she. So yeah, moving on to closures. Closures are things that will make if you make a garment with poplin or polyester or stretch or anything, really, it's going to be something that is going to keep it nice and closed, nice and tight, at the same time give you a little bit of leeway to wriggle into your outfit. Moving on, I've got a bit of a list of what closures you can use. First one is zips, which they can be very cheap, they can be very easy to use, but at the same time they can be very scary for some new people. Most people will start by hand stitching them in, which can take time and can make them a bit loose, but unless you're like me and stitch over it like 1,000 times, then you're good. But there is an option on your machine. You can invest in a zipper foot, which it looks like this. So a regular sewing foot will have a full sort of square around it, so that it'll just hold the fabric down, and you can see where the needle is going, and it'll hold it. So it goes. I know the English language. Yeah, it has about half of that. It takes the outer edge here away so that you can sew down the zip, so that it makes it easier for the zip to be able to manipulate. I wish I'd known this, because when I use a regular sewing foot, the zip shifts around and it doesn't look clean. It doesn't look good. It can look very bubbly. Your stitches can jump around on the machine. That's why it can be a bit scary to do zips. The next option is buttons. Again, nice and cheap and easy to use. Again, closures can be scary. It's a simple fact. They can be a bit scary and a bit tedious because again you're doing them one by one and you have to do a buttonhole on the other side of the fabric at the same time. And you need to figure out how to spread them out evenly so that when you close it, you don't have a random hole in your fabric. Like us ladies would know when putting a glass on, sometimes we have lovely open holes. Thank you, mass production. The next option is going to be elastic. If you're doing a simple skirt or a simple pair of pants and either don't have time or can't be bothered putting in a zip or a button or anything like that, I know your feeling. You just want to put in a band of elastic. That makes it so much easier to be able to stretch into something, to be able to just pull it apart and step into it or pull it over your head. It's up to you really. But elastic is nice and easy just to sew on top of it. It just keeps things nice and close, and it's probably one of the easier options. But as I got yelled at the other night by this one here, hook and eyes are going to be your best option. They can come in two different cutter forms. I think keeps them going in and out. It's up to this. But this is typically the one you're going to see. I usually add this at the top of the zip to just pull things together and just make it look a little bit cleaner. Because I'm paranoid. Thank you. It also stops your zip from parting. Should I just give you another microphone? Dang, this should be her panel, not mine. But yeah, us girls, we would know about the bra closure. You can also get this as like a bra extender. This is a nice easy way to just add it to a garment if you feel like if you don't feel like hand stitching pieces in. Just grab a bra extender and stitch that in because it comes with the different layers, the different size options. So say if you maybe lose a bit of weight and you find that it's a bit loose on you, you can just go to a different size of it and it fits right again. You can do the same thing with the separate hook and eyes, but this is lazier. I'm lazy. I have to teach her how to be lazy. I really have to teach her how to be lazy. We were up until 3 o'clock in the morning making her Jack Frost stuff because it was after much fighting. Exactly. See? Yeah, she calls me the queen of bullshit. Yeah. One thing I didn't actually add before we move. One thing I didn't actually add because I'm a dingus. Snap closures. So they're they're like little buttons, but again, this comes in 2 separate parts, and it just snaps together. Yes, it just snaps together. Yeah, again, you can just either safety pin them together, or you can hot glue them. Up to you. I recommend sewing them. They're going to be the hand sewing things, but they can be nice and strong, hold things down, and they can look really good. They can be nice and cheap. Nice and lazy. And they're cheap. They are so cheap. Yeah, speaking of cheating. Cheating! Yay! Lazy things! Yay! I'm going to show you a few techniques again I wish I had known. These are some nice and easy things to practice with if you just want to kind of get a feel for it, get a first project done. Yeah, first thing I will teach you is about pleats. Pleating can be scary because it requires a lot of math. If you use a fork, you can get a really even pleat. I have no proper way to describe this without sounding like I'm speaking a different language, so please bear with me. What you're going to want to do, you're going to want to slide one of the prongs, stabs of the fork on the furthest way away, fold it over, and then slide the fork out and sew through it. That is honestly one of the easiest ways to make pleats. It can make nice and tight pleats, or if someone finds like an Alice in Wonderland store and finds a gigantic fork, please tell me. I really want to make some massive pleats. We're done with forks, these pleats here. We're done with forks, but I just, instead of going one way, as you can see there, I went one way and then went the other way with the fabric. So we've got like box pleats. These are called box pleats. One thing I recommend when it comes to pleats, again, iron them, as you can tell. These are not iron. I'm lazy. And it's true. Yeah, but oops, I'm not just for stabbing people. I'm staring at flame. Yeah, you know. Love you. Moving on. This is something I use a lot. This is called a circle skirt. Yeah, it's like this one here. But so a circle skirt honestly is one of the easiest methods of making a nice looking skirt that isn't lazy. Well, no, I say this isn't lazy. It doesn't look lazy. Isn't that the best thing? So what you do is you fold fabric over one way, fold it over again. So you've got a square, or however, you've got two folds. Take a piece of cord and pull it to the shortest, I nearly said longest, don't do the longest, to the shortest length. Pull it around with your weight being right on the corner. You're going to pull it around so you're making a circle. Did I mention that I'm using tailor's chalk against the board? Sorry, I'm dumb. Sorry. I had maybe about 5 hours sleep last night. I'm sorry. Probably more than that. Yeah. But we're going around in the circle. We'll mark where the edge is, and we can cut along that line, and you'll get a nice drapey effect. There is a math diagram out there in the world to figure out what little circle you're going to do for your hips. I wing it. I'm lazy. I'm really lazy. But yeah, you can kind of tell that I use this one a lot. Thank you. I was just talking about forks, but apparently the formula you used to figure this one out is pie. Wow. You're making me hungry. I think it maybe looks a bit messy, like that. This one's the fabric's fault, not my fault, I promise. Maybe. But you do have some options for being lazy. I should have just named this the being lazy section. You've got your fabric glue, your fiddly ones, your fiddly fabrics that fray a lot. I'd suggest using fabric glue on the, the really fragile ones, like Satan here. Satan. Use that on the much more fragile fabrics that tend to fray a lot easier. It will just keep it nice and tight, and you can just pinch it together, maybe put it down with the needle. Stab. All the stabbing things. Don't stab people. Not a good idea. Fabric glue is nice and easy to use. Anyone knows how to use it. Hemming web. This is scary stuff up here. I don't know why they have it in the cosplay room next door. You need an iron to use this. This is a nice easy way for if you're in an emergency. You have a that's come loose or something that's come loose. You can just cut out a bit of strip of this. It does come in much thicker lengths as well. I think it comes in like from small like fabric. It's that one. It does come in much larger ones as well if you need like a bigger patch to stitch on. What you'll do is you stick this between the two fabrics, iron it down, and pull the fabrics together, keep it nice and tight. I wouldn't say this is a permanent option if you're doing the thinner stuff or hemming. I'd say iron it on, and then maybe take it down with a bit of little hand stitching. That's the word. You're going to want to go in just through like not even 2 centimeters. Just put centimeters. Just go through the fabric, come out, stitch it together. Fabric. Be lazy about it, rush it. Just, if it's up there and it's away, it's good. No one's going to see it. No one's going to see it. But my favorite thing is bias tape. Bias tape is fabric that's been folded over into its own hem. It's folded over twice, so starting like that, it will fold into the middle, folds into the middle, and folds, so that's like a little middle, and you put the fabric in between that second fold, so right on top of it. This is fantastic for any kind of fabric, or the length. Most of them. It's very cheap. Can make your own. There are options, there are tutorials how to do it out there. I still haven't experimented myself. how to do that? Yeah, lazy. Yes. But bias binding is fantastic for a nice, easy way to get a clean hem, to get a clean end to the fabric, or add a little bit of detail. Detailing with hemming work can be fantastic. It's actually like your dress here, because I want to say Susie. Yes, Susie, yeah. It's similar to how you've got this detailing down the middle of your dress. If anyone can see, she's got a lovely silver detail down here. You can do the same with biasing. You can just add a little bit of blocking colour where you can just break the colour, break it. Actually, I think, what's it, Scarlet College? There's a college out here that has black blazers with yellow trimming on the ends of it. That's typically how they do. That's typically how they do that little detail. Yes, bias tape is my favourite thing to use. You can use it just with it. Yes. This is the biggest thing that you need to know, is that practice makes perfect. You need to practice. You need it. It's like any artist will tell you when they say the drawing. Yeah, but the more they practice, the better they get. When I started, the first thing I made was 2 strips of fabric attached to a piece of plastic. That was the first thing I made. But yeah, those 2 pieces of stretch on plastic. Bad idea. Stretch it, which again. The more you practice, the better you get. And there are a few ways that you can practice to do that. Get the check fabric and make little things. Typically when I grab poplin and I need practice, I may be experienced, but I still need practice myself. I typically will pick up a bit of poplin, cut it into a square, and make little pieces. Little things like that is just to get a feel for the machine. Just do anything you can. Little things, little bows, like hair bows or bow ties. They're fantastic practice. Sewing on the refill paper. Take the thread out of your machine, grab a refill pad and wind the refill pad, and just go slow and sew along all the lines. I did have a family friend of mine who was a professional seamstress. When I asked her for some tips on how to improve my own stitching, she gave me a refill pad, a 500 refill pad, and she goes, sew every single page. Every single page. 2 weeks later, I bring all 500 of those pages and I go, have a look. Here I am thinking, I've improved so well. I've done so great with these 500 pages. She's like, okay. She hands me 2. She's still doing it. It's going on 3 years. Trees and quality. Actually, yeah. Take apart old clothes and remake them. That is a fantastic way to get your practice in sewing different kind of garments. Little seams like that, the little scary needle seams, curry, that's a fantastic way to get your practice. It's a fantastic way to be like, this is how I make this garment. Go to the op shop, pick up something for $1 and just go nuts. Pull it apart and remake it. Because then you can go to your mum and be like, hey mum, look what I made. Just take out the tag first. What YouTube tutorials? There's lots of them. 90% of them. That's a lot. Most of the people can access tutorials on YouTube. I highly recommend checking out Professor Pimp. They are a fantastic teacher. They are a fantastic teacher. They do their tutorials. Nice and easy. They show you every single step of the way of what you need to do. They do basic things from sewing a seam, sewing a hem, to all the way up to how do you make a wedding dress. Little things like that. All the way up. I still love this. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Sorry, I said one. Take out books from the library. I'm still reading sewing Bibles. I'm still investing in books to find ways to figure out how to do things. Books are fantastic reference because it's there. You can photocopy through box. Sorry, I can't get good today. I know good. Yes. free to hit them up on Facebook and be like, hey, okay. You have to do the thing. No, yeah. Don't be afraid to ask people for help, honestly. That is the biggest thing. One mentality I had to keep myself through my experience of having to teach myself is this. No, move the panel. Every mistake you make is a lesson learned. So if you sew something and it doesn't turn out right, you can learn from that. You can learn so much from that. There are so many times when I have cut fabric out on the wrong side of the fabric. There's so many times when I have sewn something the wrong way. Apparently my body goes out that way. So I'm marshmallow. Yeah, every mistake you make is a lesson learned. It's something you can learn. You might as well learn to teach it. On the script. And the biggest thing you can do is, honestly, we'll get there. Promise it. Just takes that practice. It takes that determination. You will get there. Feel free to be there. Thank you guys so much.